Historic Wick Church, nestled in the rolling hills of rural Shropshire, where people have seen a thing or two come and go in their time, but nothing quite like this. Rise up and head a few miles southeast. This is cryogenics, am I right?
Exactly, that's what we do here. I mean, we call it cryoconservation.
A cryoconservation?
Yes.
One step beyond, right, okay. At minus 80 Celsius, lifting the lid on frozen animal species DNA, a lifeline, they say, to saving our rarest species from extinction.
This is like a nuclear bunker in this room. We've got the genetics of some of the rarest animals out there, stored cryogenically, frozen in time, basically, waiting to be thawed out in 10, 20, or if maybe 1,000 years' time, and bring those cells back to life within about 30 seconds. To many of our endangered species that are literally on the brink, they're on a cliff edge. So I believe we have to do something. This runs alongside normal conservation efforts.
Svalbard, northern Norway, where a frozen seed bank of the world's plants is slowly assembling. But the Shropshire operation is the only place in Europe where freezing of animal species, sperm, eggs, and crucially skin samples is happening at scale. They've just passed the 300 species mark, and it is skin which unlocks the cryogenic future. I need you to make me, and I can't believe I'm saying this, 4 new wildcats.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
With the skin, it's got the whole DNA of that particular animal. And when we freeze that down, we can freeze its entirety, and then when we bring it back, we can turn that skin cell eventually into a sperm or into an egg. The technology is there. They've done it in mice, but they haven't done it in, obviously, cats yet, but the technology will evolve.
I don't know whether to be ecstatic or terrified. Right now, a push to conserve red squirrels. For the first time in Europe, their cells have been successfully grown here.
And that initial stage is actually relatively straightforward. The more challenging stage is once you get stem cells to then divert it into a different cell type, of which semen could be one of them. And that's the more complicated stage. That's the bit where the research and development really needs to come through for different species.
A few miles away, Janet King successfully breeds magnificent Shire horses. She also has 2 wildcats, a species whose DNA already lies frozen in the nearby lab. But her red squirrel breeding enclosure lies empty. They failed to breed. So she's donated some red squirrel skin DNA to the lab.
Sometimes you can go into like a downward spiral and there becomes fewer and fewer. The gene pool becomes smaller and smaller. And by doing the work that Tullis is doing, it's protecting it for the future, whether it's this year, next year, 5 years, 20 years, 50 years' time. If it's needed, it is there, it's banked.
It could still be a route back for you.
Absolutely.
Growing brand new red squirrels remains just a few years off. But the lab has already produced new coral, an animal, not a plant. It's now being matured in a London museum for potential reintroduction to depleted wild reefs. The application of all this for wild species in the biosphere is obvious then, but there's also a domestic dimension to all this, the preservation of rare breeds, like Diamond here, a Suffolk punch. Universal agreement here and among the wider conservation movement that this can only ever, though, be a small part in the global fight against species extinction.
Absolute last possible result, and let's be really wary of any of those kind of tech bros out there who think that there's some kind of simple tech silver bullet solution to the loss of nature. Actually, what we need is thousands of different efforts to restore nature at scale, and to do it at pace and at scale and with a sense of urgency and political will and political leadership to make it happen. Be wary of anyone that offers you a simple solution to a complex problem.
One day soon we will be able to make a new snow leopard, white rhino, red squirrel, you name it, from a frozen vat in Shropshire. It's coming.
In these tanks, in a way, we hope we don't have to dive into them, because you're only diving into them if you have to, but I fear we will have to at some point. 100% we have to be using these new technologies without a shadow of a doubt. Otherwise, I'm afraid we're going to see many of our species disappear in front of our eyes.
All sides agree, though, successfully preventing mass global extinction depends above all on preserving the wild habitat. If we have to use cryogenics, it will be indeed the very last resort, but also a sign of our failure.